Who controls the portioning in your home? Is it the kitchen or is it the dining room? We're going to talk about two types of portioning and what they can mean to your cooking, your budget, and your wellness today on the Carefree Cooks Code. I'm Chef Todd Moore, and this is the Carefree Cooks Code, every Tuesday live at noon Eastern. Here's our challenge. How can home cooks cook freely with creativity, confidence, and pride while ignoring recipes and still impressing themselves and others with what they cook? Well, the answer is found in becoming empowered with how cooking works, using dependable and repeatable methods of cooking that work for any ingredient, for any diet, and any desire, just like chefs do. And we'll know we've cracked it when everyone sees cooking as an exciting and rewarding way to improve their relationships, their lifestyles, and their health through better food and cooking. This is the Carefree Cooks Code. Hey, welcome back to the Carefree Cooks Code, everyone. This is the weekly show for the methods, the techniques, the insights into better food and cooking, what makes you better when you eventually do get in the kitchen. We're live every Tuesday at noon Eastern. If you're looking for any past videos, you should go to facebook.com/chef.todd.more/videos. The archive is there. And if you want to see what I'm cooking or smoking and how I did it, you should follow Chef Todd Moore on Instagram as well. Here's the salmon that I think you saw me brine when I popped up the other day, and the peppers that came out of the smoker. I just love this time of year smoking stuff. I have a turkey breast in there right now. I can see the smoke going past the window. How do I do it? Well, you see, it's all about being a carefree cook because you create your own recipes, wind up bringing friends and family together. No better time of year than now. You learn every time you cook. You know you don't know it all. You create your own style of cooking because you practice pro methods. You wind up loving your cooking. That's what it's about. I'm trying to get these people that tell me that they hate cooking and it's a chore and stuff. It sure doesn't need to be. I know it's been made out to be because you need to follow these directions, but nonetheless, hey, how are you, everyone, on another Tuesday? Carefree cooks all over the world. I'm seeing so many new names week after week. Thank you. So many brand new people along with our friends of the longest standing. I try not to say old friends around here in this group. Friends of the longest standing. Welcome to the Carefree Cooks Code, everyone. This is where each week we continue our own personal carefree cooking journeys. We gather skills, we gather techniques, we fill our pockets with methods that bring us true freedom in the kitchen. We're going to talk about that today. But first, I've got a true or false for you. Here it is. Tell me this statement in the comment section below. Please tell me true or false. If your enamel or your Teflon is missing from your pan, it's still okay to cook with. True or false in the comment section below. Okay, I'm so glad we're here together again today, another Tuesday. I look forward to Tuesdays because we get to take another step toward breaking the Carefree Cooks Code, one clue at a time, right? As you got to be a culinary sleuth because you gather your skills, you fill your tool belt with methods and techniques. You want to be able to cook the way that you want, right? You don't want to cook the way somebody else does. It's a personal endeavor. Cook the way you want with whatever food you want or whatever food you must and be proud of the results. That's how you get proud of your cooking. Not going, oh, I followed step 1 through 10 and it came out this time. Lucky for me, right? Darn straight. That's what we do, okay? So we're proud of our methods that can be used on any ingredient at any time to make us proud. And I mean, that's what web cooking classes have been doing for more than 12 years now. And there is so much more cool stuff coming your way. I'm working so hard on it. Heather is working so hard on it. We are so excited about what we're about to bring you because our dozen anniversary is upon us and I'm finally figuring it out. It only took 12 years. I'm finally figuring out what you really need from me. What you really want from me. It's becoming more and more clear lately exactly how I can serve you and how I can help you achieve your goals at an even higher level. 12 years ago, I can't believe it. I never imagined that we would build a community of tens of thousands of people all over the world that were frustrated and disappointed with the way that they had been taught to cook. Not like a professional, where you examine dependable and repeatable methods of cooking, like a professional who can cook any ingredient for any diet or any desire, but you're being taught to cook like a home cook. You're being taught to cook where you follow written directions. You cook for a certain amount of time at a certain temperature, and it always magically comes out because the photo in the recipe book shows it. Recipes, time and temperature is how cooking has been taught since fire was invented. Oh, caveman must follow recipe, says to cave woman. That's not the way you do it, honey. You got to follow the recipe, right? Look, we take a different path, one where we take control of cooking, not a cookbook author, not a lying oven, and definitely not a clock. We're different, and I'm proud of that fact, okay? So we look out for each other as carefree cooks. I've got your back. We care a lot about each other. And so many of you comment that our Carefree Cooks community is the single best place on the internet. And do you know why? Because cooking unites people. And the holidays are upon us. No matter the culture, no matter where in the world you are, we all want great food experiences, right? So our community, I want it to be empowering, encouraging, enlightening, kind, helpful, where everyone benefits from sharing with everyone else. I've said it 1,000 times. If I can make every student a teacher, we solve this whole cooking problem together. And I'm so proud of everyone who has decided to join us as a lifetime member of Web Cooking Classes. You made a very smart decision. It's going to improve your health, your relationships, and your lifestyle forever. But look, it's still just a portion of all the lives that we can change together when everybody else knows what we do, all your friends, your acquaintances. So if you are a lifetime member of Web Cooking Classes, be sure to tell at least one person about it, about how proud you are to be. You tell me, thank you. I love that you tell me, but I already know. I see your progress. Go tell somebody else, because we need to bring these ideas to every portion of the globe. And portions, good shift. Portions, bring it to every portion of the globe, and portions are what we're here to talk about today. Oh, I'm smooth. Look, because once you can cook any ingredient for any diet or any desire, sorry about the tangent. I was just so excited about what we do together, you know? Once you can cook any ingredient for any diet or any desire, then you got to start thinking about how much you are cooking. And that's what we're here to talk about today, not how proud I am of everybody. Like, there are a lot of reasons that portioning is a very important kitchen skill. And it's another thing that chefs learn in culinary school, but it's never really shared with home cooks. And I don't ever understand why. Because really it comes down to two meanings of the word portioning when it comes to cooking and dining. Now, your cooking takes place in the kitchen. Everybody knows that. And the dining takes place at the table. Oh, Chef Todd, you're blowing my mind now, right? But should how much you cook dictate how much they eat? Or should how much they want to eat dictate what you cook? My question today for all of us is, who's in charge here? The holidays are coming, and who is in charge of how much everybody's going to eat? All right, that's the question for today. We're going to examine all sides of it. So regardless of how you decide what to cook for these holiday dinners, there's an even more important decision to be made. Who should be in charge of the portioning? Is it the dining room, the customer, or is it the kitchen, the chef? Restaurants don't let the customer decide how much food the chef should put on the plate. So, who is in charge of the portioning in your house? Is it the kitchen or is it the table? Well, this all starts with the question of, do you know how much food you're serving your family? I mean, not a plop or two plops. I mean, exactly how much food are you serving your family? This is an incredibly important bit of information to be a carefree, healthy cook. Do you know how much they're eating, or do they just eat until they're full? Or is your portion until all the food is gone? Yeah, those aren't good strategies. They're not good. They're not good for your food production, and they're not good for your health or your budget. So if you asked me what I had for dinner last night, I could not only tell you what I had, but I could tell you the exact weight of everything. So it was probably 5 ounces of chicken, a half a cup of rice, 3 ounces of vegetables. No matter, can't remember what I had for dinner last night, but it was probably something like that. It's 5 ounces of protein, a half a cup of starch, 3 ounces of vegetables. So let's get into this very important skill that's not normally shared with home cooks. The first thing we got to talk about is the meaning of portioning in the kitchen. In the kitchen environment, portioning is the amount of food that you put on the plate. So if the diner dictates how much goes on the plate, they are doing the portioning. If people are making their own plates at a buffet, they are doing the portioning. If the food gets passed around the holiday table and everybody plops a big thing of mashed potatoes on their plate, the diners are dictating the portioning. If somebody asks for seconds, they are dictating the portioning. So is the diner doing the portioning in your house? And that it's okay. No, whoa. It's okay if they are. It's okay. I know some of you are going to have a lot of trouble going to your spouse and going, not 2 scoops of mashed potatoes for you, right? I know it sounded a bit judgmental, but I promise I'm not judging, okay? Because most home kitchens are run this way. The goal of most home kitchens is simply to not run out of food. The goal of most home kitchens is to make sure everyone has had enough to eat. Did you have enough, honey? Did everyone have enough before I put away these leftovers? Leftovers? I rarely have leftovers in my house because I know the portioning. This is not how a commercial kitchen is run, right? I'm the chef that brings these secrets to home cooks everywhere. Can you imagine? In a lot of my experiences, can you imagine the chef coming out of the restaurant kitchen to ask you if you had enough to eat? Oh, pardon, monsieur? Are you full? Did you have enough? No, actually, no, I didn't. Can you bring me a second lobster, please? Oh, monsieur, of course. I have so many of them, I was going to put them in the refrigerator anyway. The restaurants don't cook like this, with very few exceptions, maybe like the Golden Corral buffet trough. Even a buffet has some portioning tricks that the chef can employ. The chef, okay? Let's talk about the chef. When the portioning comes from the kitchen, the chef is in control of so many aspects of the meal and the operation. When the kitchen does the portioning, they control the cost of the meal. When the kitchen does the portioning, they control how much needs to be purchased from the store. When the kitchen and not the diner controls the portioning, they also control the health and wellness of their diners, their family, in a lot of respect. And a nicely portioned plate is so much more appetizing to the eye than that huge mound of mashed potatoes at the buffet. I was a chef. I've done a ton of weddings. If you want to be turned off by food, watch people put a piece of chicken, put the mashed potatoes on top of it, and then the salad dressing on. It ruins your food. But look, I want to get back to this health and wellness aspect for a minute, because I know many of you are going to push back on this. No matter what your portion of deep fried chicken wings are, they're not going to be suddenly healthy, okay? I understand that. I love chicken wings too. I roast them in the oven. That's a whole nother story. Lesson week 2 in web cooking classes. But as a carefree cook in your own home, you have the opportunity to take back control when it comes to portioning, when you move it from the dining room to the kitchen, okay? And I know you might have a cranky spouse when this happens, but you can be sneaky about it. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. So this means first that you got to pay attention to the amount of food that you're cooking. You have to pay attention to the portions that you're putting on your family's plates if the kitchen wants control. You know I don't care what you cook, right? That's not my judgment. I don't care what you cook. As long as you cook at home, I make no judgments about personal preferences, about desires, about diet requirements. I only care that you cook your own food at home, and I don't care what it is. But if you do that, then you're immediately healthier, no matter what you cook. I believe this in my heart. You cook your own chicken wings rather than takeout wings, they're even better. But while you're cooking what makes you really happy, whether it's healthy or not, maybe you can start to take note of how much you're cooking. If you start to notice your portions, then you'll be amazed at how much control you can exert over your family's wellness. And the very first thing you need to do to accomplish this is get yourself a good digital scale. Next to your Instant Read digital thermometer, a good weight scale is probably the most important piece of kitchen equipment that you should have. Start to weigh the raw ingredients before you cook them. Write it down if you want. Keep it in a journal. You don't have to if you don't want. You can just keep it in your head and remember the next time. So this is going to be kind of a new lifestyle type thing for you. But if you start doing it a little bit, you'll do it from now on. So you're serving chicken. What does the chicken breast weigh before you cook it? Do you serve a 4-ounce chicken breast or a 5-ounce chicken breast? How much rice have you been cooking for your family? Do you always make 1 cup each and you don't know why? How many ounces, how many grams of gravy does everybody get? If you knew this, it would be so much easier to know how much gravy to make, right? So if you start taking note of these things, something really powerful starts to happen. First, you find yourself cooking less food. If you cook less food, you spend less time cooking. People that want to get in and out of the kitchen, half of it is because they're wrapping up the leftovers. And they're spending the time cooking twice as much. Second, you waste less food. Those leftovers, I've talked about leftover goggles before. It never looks good the next day. Third, you buy less food. You spend less money. You don't find yourself in the grocery store as often. That's third A, B, and C maybe. Look, and if you can pull off what I'm about to suggest, then you can also improve the health and wellness of everybody that you cook for. But before I tell you my devious plan to make your family healthier, I need to share 2 things with you. First are the terms, okay? There are the terms I'm going to use, standards that we're going to measure everything by, and there are 3 simple terms that we're going to start to study our portions. You're going to study your portions with each, weight, or volume. It's really that simple. It's that easy. Excuse me. That was cold. It's really easy. You just remember how many shrimp. Right? How many scallops? How many chicken nuggets? Okay, each person gets on their plate. Some things are measured by the each. Then there's weight, like on a scale. How heavy is the food? Are people getting a 3-ounce hamburger or a 4-ounce hamburger? Just note it. No judgments yet, no changes yet. Note it. Lastly, volume. How much of a container will the item fill? 2 cups of cauliflower each, 1 cup of rice. It's each, weight, and volume. It's all a home cook needs to know about portioning for the dining room. Keep track of how many, what it weighs, or how full a measure is. And like I said, write it down or not if you want, but start to become aware at least. You will internalize it. You will memorize it. Okay, so then we need a starting point. How much are you feeding your family right now? Get the baseline. Get the amount you've been cooking before you became aware of it. Remember each, weight, or volume. Then ask yourself if you think that's the correct amount. But if you wonder how much you should be feeding your family, let me give you some standard food portions on the plate on average, okay? Big average. You might have a big husband, little tiny kids, or the opposite, little tiny husband, huge kids. I don't know. On average, the human stomach holds about 10 to 12 ounces of food, or 285 to about 340 grams. So you take your protein. Start with 5 ounces or about 142 grams of protein, like chicken, hamburger, tofu, falafel, if mushrooms are your protein, whatever your diet might be. 3 ounces, 85 grams of a starch, grains, pasta, potatoes. 3 ounces, 85 grams of vegetables, like a salad or steamed broccoli, something like that. That adds up to 11 ounces on an average of a 12-ounce stomach, 310 grams. Start there, right? Now, okay, you're laughing at me now. I know some people are laughing, thinking about somebody that you know that eats way much more than that. So have a good laugh. That's my point. I'm not saying that you have to eat that much. You decide on your own portions, but here's the opportunity, because from food knowledge comes food power. Even if your family is eating double that amount of food, double, 10 ounces of protein, 6 ounces of starch, 3, 5, 8, 12 ounces of vegetables, at least you know it. Like I said, no judgment here. At least you're starting to quantify it, right? Then you can start to get sneaky about it. And I'm going to tell you how. But I got a story for you first. Because many years ago, I had a blankie. A blankie. I would suck my thumb. I'd rub the satin edge around the blankie like any small kid would do. Except I was 35 years old at the time. No, just kidding. When I was an infant, child even, I was very attached to my blankie, I'm told. There was no separating me from the security that my blankie brought. It was a light blue flannel blankie with a soft satin trim and a zigzag stitching pattern that went all around the perimeter, and my blankie was about 2 feet square, I'd say. It was a child's blanket, so, couldn't have been too big. But my mom knew that this was an unhealthy attachment, okay? I'm not sure what 60s pop psychology book she read, but she knew that an attachment to a blankie was not a good thing. So each night, while I was asleep, she would sneak into my room. She'd take the blankie, she would remove the satin from around the edge, trim an inch from the flannel, and then she'd sew the satin back on in the same zigzag pattern. And each morning, I would wake up with a blankie that was just a few square inches smaller than the one I fell asleep with. Well, over a period of time, eventually, the size of my blankie was about this big. It was a handkerchief. And I could not remember, as a 22-year-old, as a kid, when I went to college, I couldn't remember as a kid, why I needed such a large blanket in the first place. Okay, so you getting me? You getting the analogy? If you are controlling the portioning in your house, trim off a little satin around the edges, just like my mom did with my blankie. If you're eating an 8-ounce chicken breast, maybe you trim half an ounce, a few grams, an ounce next time. Freeze the trimmed chicken, use it for soup, use it for chili, use it for a pot pie or a burrito in the future. If you've been cooking a whole box of pasta, cut it out. Trim off an ounce, right? Put 1 ounce of dry pasta in a plastic bag, save it for next time. Then eventually you save it all up, you got a portion. Could a cup of the raw rice that you're cooking right now turn into 4/5 of a cup? So here are some real world examples that I use in my own home. I used to make half a box of pasta for Heather and I, 16-ounce box, 8 ounces of dry pasta for 2 people. We always had leftovers that I threw away 2 days later. So I changed it to 5 ounces of dry pasta each. This was a little better, not much waste, but I felt really full after a meal. Then it got down to 4 ounces of dry pasta. I was getting 4 meals now instead of 2 out of a box of pasta, but that just started to look like too much pasta on the plate. It was a little bit unappetizing. I felt a little full afterward. Now I make 3.2 ounces of dry pasta on the scale for the 2 of us. I get 5 meals out of a box of pasta, and we feel fine. This is not an Ebenezer Scrooge kind of thing. I'm doing okay. I can afford pasta. But it's wasteful otherwise, and it's unhealthy. We're not starving ourselves. We're not hungry afterward, but we're not food paralyzed like I used to be either. I used to get 2 meals out of a box of pasta, and now I get 5. Which, okay, pasta's $1, right? $2, but I buy pasta less than half as much as I used to. I used to make 1/3 of a cup of rice for Heather and I. I now do, down from half a cup. I use a tablespoon of butter to make a roux instead of 2 tablespoons where I used to. They're the perfect amounts that stay in my mind because I've been keeping track of it. When I get chicken breasts from the farmer's market, I slice them horizontally down the middle. I get 4-ounce portions for us. Any tenderloin, chicken trimmings, they go into a bag when I'm making soup or something else. And that brings me, just reeled all that off. That is ways to improve the health of your family, save money on food, spend less time cooking, do better. The stuff I just told you gives you 5 benefits. But here's another way to use this word. Portioning is what happens when the food arrives to the kitchen from the store. This is a pro chef kind of thing. We're not going to use all that food you just bought in one meal, right? So it needs to be broken down into usable portions. And this is something that I spend a good amount of time doing when I get home from the store. Let's say I bought a pound of bacon. I don't let it sit in my refrigerator for 2 weeks as I slowly use 2 or 3 slices at a time. It makes my fridge dirty and greasy. It increases the likelihood of cross-contamination. When I get home from the market, I immediately take the 1 pound package of bacon and I wrap 2 slices at a time individually, put them all in the freezer. I'm breaking it down from weight to each, right? Portioning. I don't cook a certain ounce of bacon. I cook bacon strips, but I buy a pound. So I break from weight to each. This way, when I need 2 strips or 4 strips for breakfast, I have that pre-portioned amount. I'll buy whole chickens, portion the breasts into one bag, the legs into another bag, clean the thighs and carcass for soup or stock. When I buy large blocks of cheese, I cut it. I freeze it into half-pound blocks. When I get fresh butter from the farm, a pound of butter is not going to last very long of farm fresh butter in the fridge. I cut it into quarter-pound sticks, and 3 of them go in the freezer. Hot dogs, sausages get portioned. Shrimp get bagged into 9 each. I know it's 9 shrimp from the 2-pound bag. Ground beef gets portioned into 4.5-ounce burger for me, 3.5-ounce burgers for Heather. Frozen ravioli from the local restaurant. There are 12 in a package. Heather and I only eat 9. 3 go into a Ziploc. 2 more ravioli deposits. I've got a free meal. Free ravioli. Woo! Who doesn't want free ravioli? Yeah! I take as much of the raw food I can get from the store or market and I break it down into the size that I'm going to be using once I cook it. This extends the shelf life of your food and eventually saves you money over spoiled and wasted, overcooked leftovers that go in the trash. I would rather have an ounce of raw chicken in my freezer, just 1 ounce, ready to use for the next time, than overfeed my family an ounce or waste the ounce that's left over. So here, I'll bring it home now. Woo, this is jam-packed today. There are 2 ways to control the portioning in your home. The first is not to let the diner control it. The kitchen controls the amount of food that goes on the plate. This is going to be a hard change for some of you to make. Do it slowly. Cut the edge around the blankie, right? So from there, you can lower or you can increase the portion as you see fit. Maybe lower the bad portions, increase the good portions, and you can tell them about it. Or not. The second way to control what's going on is the portioning of the raw food as soon as you get home, like I just mentioned. Break down the larger items into the size that you're going to be cooking. This gets them into the freezer for a longer shelf life, saves you money, saves grocery shopping time and trips as well. Control all of the portioning in your kitchen, and you control all of the important elements of your carefree cooking lifestyle. This is a supremely important topic, and I guarantee you so many of you have never heard this. This is a culinary college level class that is their job or not, right? For a professional, you lose money on overportioning. So you got something today that most people don't get. I want you to take it to heart. I don't want to cause any rift in your family, but there are ways to at least know what you're serving and trim the edges around the blankie. Correct portioning, it's critical to the success of a restaurant. If you've priced your entree to make a 10% profit and then one of the line cooks is giving double the portion, you just lost money on that plate of food. So, correct portioning. I was executive chef at a large hospital. That could have been life or death for some people. It had way more to do with health and wellness, but both of these things are important in your home. The cost and the effect. Money and wellness are all attached to good portioning. Let's get back to this week's true or false. I only have one question for you. When you see the coating is missing from your pan, where do you think it went? Glump. Please please, please, please do not cook with scratched pans. As soon as you see the smallest scratch in the coating, that pan is done. No matter your emotional attachment to this pan, put it up on the shelf. Remember all the great meals that you had together. Put it in grandma's china cabinet if you want. Put a lighted display on it, but please stop cooking with it. And you know, again, I make no judgments, but I'm going to get real with you right now. I don't mean to insult anybody, but I want to drive the point home. If your pan scratches that easily, it's probably a cheap pan, which is good news because you can go buy another cheap pan. Really, really easy. Or you can make an investment in a pan that will last a lifetime and learn how to control the heat in a stainless steel pan, like I try and tell people. Hey, look, if you know someone who's over portioning on the plate or wasting food by not portioning from the grocery store on, please share this video with them and like it so everyone knows another way to improve their lifestyles through better food and cooking. And if you're serious about wanting to create the best holiday meal ever with precision, with confidence, without stressing out over the holiday dinner and without feeling like the caterer and feeling like a family member instead, you should register for my free online web class that will show you exactly how to plan, cook, bake, coordinate, use leftovers creatively. That's right, it's called the Holiday Cooking Success Plan. Go to webcookingclasses.com/success for my Holiday Cooking Success Plan, just in time for all of our stay-at-home holiday cooking coming your way. So until next Tuesday, where we take even more steps toward breaking that carefree cook's code, this is Chef Todd Moore reminding you that there's a method to your well-portioned cooking success. Bye, everyone.